All right, welcome back to the channel. Today, going to do two things. Talk about an Uber scam that I ran into while recently in Chicago. Maybe some of you have run into this too, but it kind of caught me off guard, so I thought it might be useful. And then also talk about a new cigar that I picked up also in Chicago called the American by J.C. Newman. And what makes this cigar unique is that everything about it is made in the United States. And that's pretty rare, especially for a cigar. So let's take a look at it. And before we do that, I go through a watch and a boot check. For those who haven't seen my videos before, I'm pretty casual. We take our time, we enjoy things, and finer things in life like watches. So this is a Seiko Presage, and it's got what's called a beads of rice bracelet there. So nice. Seiko makes really great watches. Of course, this one's fully automatic, no battery. Dog hair on the couch. The dogs are shedding. And no boot checking in today. Too hot out, so I got the Crocs on. And of course, got a little bit of poison ivy there too. So let's look at this American. So this is a J.C. Newman cigar, still in the wrapper. And this is the Toro. As you can see, so J.C. Newman out of Tampa, Florida. And I actually toured the facility there, and they were talking about it. They hadn't made these yet, but they were in the process. They had some that were being produced, and really unique. So they wanted to try to get a cigar that was totally made with American tobacco. This one, I believe, is Florida, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania tobaccos. The wrapper, the printing, the boxes, everything made in the States. So we see Watson here. He's ready for another exciting video review. Daisy down there is already asleep. So let's get seated. We'll get the cigar unpacked here, and then let me tell you about this Uber thing to really watch out for. So here we go. All right, so I'm going to be lighting this with some cigars from Big's Mansion in Chicago. They're a really great spot. I highly encourage you, if you're in Chicago, to head over to Big's. A nice selection of cigars, and also a really nice lounge. So sometimes it's kind of nice to light a cigar with the old-fashioned way with matches. So first of all, the American is pretty dark, dark wrapper. I think they're all the same wrapper. I don't think there's a Connecticut shade. This is, I believe, I should know this, but anyway, it's a darker Connecticut shade, I believe. So in any event, the band is pretty cool. Got the American eagle on there, the crest. It looks like a Cuban flag, and American stripes and some tobacco leaves. Tampa, Florida noted. So let me get into this Uber story while I get this cigar lit. So, as you know, when getting Uber, you get on your app and you plug in your destination, and it'll give you a price, and you can select it, and then it kind of spins until it finds a driver, and it shows these drivers in the location, and then finally somebody takes it. So that's what we did. We were on our way from the hotel back to the airport, flying home from Chicago. And I thought it was unusual because I plugged in the airport midway, and it showed some Uber vehicles around, but nobody was taking it. It was just kind of like waiting for somebody to grab the ride. And literally it was 2-3 minutes, 3, 4, maybe even 5 minutes, and it's just taking forever. Nobody's grabbing the ride. And then all of a sudden this car pulls up, and the guy rolls down his window, and he he's got the Uber placard on his car, and he says, "Hey, looking for an Uber?" And I said, "Yeah." And he just lit up. So he says, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I'm an Uber driver." And I said, "Well, you haven't accepted on the app. I don't see that I have the ride." And he said, "Oh, that thing's gonna take forever. It's going to be a long time. It's going to be a half hour before somebody accepts. It's just the way Chicago is." And he said, come on, get in, I'll take you." And he like flashes his phone showing his like Uber profile or something. I mean, I couldn't really get a good look at it, but I saw it said Uber on it. And so I immediately I was suspicious, but mind you, this is pretty early in the morning. We got an early flight, so I'm sort of barely awake. And by the way, the cigar, excellent draw. Nice flavor, strong. Loads of smoke coming out. Good size. I like this size. But anyway, so back to the Uber story. And I'll kind of let you know how the cigar goes. But right away, first impressions, very good. Nice flavor profile, easy draw. Looks like good construction. Good looking wrapper, not all that oily, but dark, definitely. So this guy flashes his Uber thing, and I said, he says, "Get in." And I said, well, how much is the ride going to be? And he said, "Well, how much was it on your Uber app?" And I said, it was like $35. It was 35, 36. "Oh, no way, no way. That's too cheap. That's too cheap. You won't find anybody to give you a ride for that." And I said, "Well, Uber, it's not negotiable. The price shows up, right? You either take it or you leave it, right? You can do the higher end Uber Black or whatever, and this was the economy, I think." And so I said, "Well, that's the price." And he said, "Well, I can get you there for 70." I'm like, "Why would I pay 70? Why I pay?" He goes, "Well, I'm telling you, nobody will take 35. You'll sit around, nobody will take that." And now to his defense there a little bit, the ride from the airport to the hotel was like 60 some dollars. So I thought that was pretty high, but that was what Uber quoted. That's what was available that day that we flew in. So, from the hotel back to the airport, it was substantially less, but that's what showed up on Uber. So anyway, I said, "Well, how would I pay you?" Because on Uber, you accept a ride and the money comes right out of your credit card. There's no exchange of information given to the driver. You certainly don't pay cash, and even the tip is on the app on Uber. And so he said, "Oh, you can either pay me cash or Venmo, PayPal." So immediately now I'm starting to wake up. I'm even more suspicious of this guy, and he's like, come on," and I'm like, no thanks. He goes, "Well, you're not gonna find a ride. You'll be sitting here a half an hour. I don't know when your flight is," and I said, "Not interested. Have a good day." And I walked away, and he took off. And then interestingly, like right after that, within 30 seconds, another driver had picked up on the app. So I was confirmed that I had a driver who was willing, an actual Uber driver who was willing to take the ride at the quoted price of $35, $36, or whatever it was. And he was just a few minutes away. He ended up coming. He, took us to the airport, no issues. So the scam, I think, certainly, now it could have been one of two things. It's what I think. This guy was an Uber driver. He got the notification. Those of you that are Uber drivers, maybe you can explain this and put in comments how it works. But I assume that they get some kind of notification. Hey, somebody's looking for a ride, and shows you where they're going, and maybe shows you their ride rating. and which mine, is good, perfect, I'm sure. And so they have some ability to accept that ride, or maybe they have some ability to sort of maybe accept or not fully accept, but I think he did something that interfered with any other drivers being able to get the ride without actually accepting my ride. I don't know, maybe some of you know better how that works, but it was just really curious that there were several minutes in there where I did not get anybody to take the ride, and it was like looking around. And so I think this guy saw that and was able to sort of somehow interfere with the ability for me to get the ride right away. And then so he's looking for that. He pulls up. He doesn't want to go through Uber and give Uber whatever cut they get out of it. He's just going to accept payment from me directly. Now that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, he's looking to rob me. We get in the car, we're his hostages. Any number of things could happen. I did read about some of this online, and they said that, sometimes some people didn't negotiate the price before. The guy pulls up, they think it's their ride, or he says, I'm with Uber. They get in, and then, as they're getting close to their destination, the driver shouts out a price, hey, it's $100 or whatever, and they say, whoa, wait a minute. And he says, well, if you want me to drop you off, you want me to take you there, you need to pay me now, and they inflate the price, and you're sort of at their mercy at that point. I don't know if that would have happened. He already quoted me a high price to begin with, which presumably, if he wanted to rip us off or kidnap us or steal from us, he would have quoted me a low price to entice us to get into the vehicle. I don't know. So he didn't do that. So that's one theory, that somehow he saw it on there. Second. Hold on. All right, sorry about that unexpected interruption. You're trying to enjoy a cigar, and boy, you think you got the place to yourself, and then all of a sudden, all breaks loose. But anyway, all right, so we're back. So Watsy's going to join us here. So my second theory on the Uber situation is that either he got onto the app, he was able to see that I was trying to get there, and he delayed it. But theory number two is the bellhop at the hotel. Maybe he was friends with this guy, maybe gets a cutback from the guy. Because I did notice for sure that he saw me. Obviously, when we came out of the hotel, he knew, he could tell that I was looking to get a ride. I didn't mention it to him, but I think it was quite obvious. And then, curiously, when this guy pulled up, this Uber imposter, the bellhop kind of came out. I didn't notice if he nodded to him, or, he could have been coming out to somewhat protect us. I don't know, but more than likely he was coming out that he knew the guy or something. The guy, he'd alerted the guy, called the guy and said, hey, these people are out here looking for an Uber. Here's an opportunity for you to make some easy money outside of the Uber app. So it's possible, but I don't want to say, because I don't know for sure, but somehow, obviously, this guy knew the way he came down the street. It was clearly he was intentional on coming there to pull up and see if we needed a ride. It's not like he was driving down the street and saw us and then thought, oh, okay. It was clear he came in, he did a U-turn, it was intentional, he knew he was going to come there to get us. So anyway, one of those things to certainly beware of. Be on your toes. You think that the Uber app, it is easy, but there are scammers out there, and again, you have some protection with Uber because you can see who the driver is. They got a rating. There's you've got some corporate entity that obviously is involved that could intervene, and some tracking and your payment and all that. there's some protection with the Uber app that you don't get with somebody who's scamming you. And they may, may have ended up being perfectly fine, but it certainly was a little precarious to say the least. So this cigar is burning well, burning evenly. The draw is effortless. It's really an excellent draw. Got a really good flavor, somewhat unique flavor. I mean, I'm impressed that it's American grown tobacco. It certainly resembles Nicaraguan tobacco, I would say, maybe Mexican too. Some of the Mexican tobaccos that you get, but pretty good. I wouldn't say it's great. This is not a great cigar, at least at this point in it, but a good cigar, a good value. It's not cheap. I think this is around $19 to $21, somewhere in there. So it's above the average cigar price, certainly not at the highest end, not a Padron level, mid to upper $20, $30 cigar. It's right around the $19, $21 range. So I think it's a decent value for what you're getting, because it is a pretty good smoke. So. Some peppery in this there, but not a lot. I don't like a strong pepper cigar. Speaking of that, but certainly it's strong. It does have a unique flavor profile, so I would encourage you, if you see one at your local cigar shop, to pick one up. I think these are limited production. And a little bit hard to find. I haven't seen any in Ohio. Like I said, I found this one at Big's Mansion in Chicago. So overall, yeah, I'm impressed by it. It's a good cigar. So anyway, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found the discussion about the Uber insightful, maybe as a warning on your next trip. Check out my other videos. I do have a couple videos about the trip in Chicago, and lots of videos on cigar reviews, and especially a lot about going to Cuba and getting cigars there. So take a look at my other videos on that. All right, enjoy. Watson, we all done? I think Watson says we're done. So. Signing off.